You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.
Thank you for listening to Community Forum. My name's Johnny Chandler. I'm the owner of KCCC 930 AM and the host of Community Forum. With me today is Robert Kazabowski.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay, that's only like the third time he's been on, and I'm just barely got it right, and I'm still not that confident about it. But for the first time ever, I'd like to welcome Jennifer Cottingham. Jennifer Cottingham is the owner of Nock Archery, and you guys are located over there by Sutherland's, right?
Yes,
and
the North End Suite.
North End Suite by Sutherland's, the Whip Training Center, all that stuff right there, right? Great.
Good.
Well, so I'm glad that you're here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so I have the Desert Willow Wildlife Rehabilitation Center here, and I have Nock Archery, and so they're not here for two separate things. They're here for the same thing, right? They are here for the 3D Archery Tournament. This is the first annual 3D Archery Tournament brought to you by Nock Archery and Desert Willow Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. So, Robert, why don't you get us kicked off about the inspiration behind this event, some details on it, and we'll go from there.
So at the Wildlife Center, we've made a few changes this year, and some of the things we're doing is we're trying to branch out on our fundraising type efforts and try to look for other areas to help fund things. One of the areas we often have trouble funding is our overhead type expenses and things like that.
So overhead meaning what, like electricity bills, air conditioning bills,
right?
Medicine for the animals too, or no?
Medicine we can usually get those type supplies, but yeah, it's the electricity and the overhead, the other things, and some of it's employee expenses and
right,
just those type things. They're hard to come by, so we're looking for some additional ways to come up with those things. And we've worked with Jennifer in the past on our benefit dinner. She helped us out the last 2 years. And I saw some other stuff about an archery shoot, or I see a lot of the clay shoots that are going on in the area. So we chatted about putting on an archery shoot and to see how it would work.
Right. So. I think that sounds excellent. So Jennifer, I want to turn to you as the owner of Nock Archery and Supply. Let's talk generally a little bit about your business first. What inspired you to start this business? And I mean, a couple of years in, I think it sounds like you're doing really successful and it's been doing really well. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Great. So tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind Nock Archery.
So my husband pretty much drugged me into hunting.
Okay.
I mean, I've always done rifles and stuff, but he brought me into the archery probably around 2014. I currently was a mechanical engineer. I've worked for, the Potash. I worked for
Right.
And have an instrumentation degree. So I mean, I've had a lot of hands-on in the past. Well, in the past we noticed that there was a niche for it, but maybe not the support. And as we got closer to 2022, it was starting to show. You see more kids hunting, more females hunting. So we started to try to kind of business plan that to see if we thought there still was one. And once we decided there was, we went and got bow certification, maintenance training, that kind of stuff. And so, quit my engineering and went to bow working. And
well, that was going to be my next question. So a lot of people start a business, but also keep the 9 to 5, right? So you just went all in on the.
So the husband is still working the 9 to 5.
Okay, yeah, health insurance, all that stuff.
Right.
It's so important. It's so hard to get around.
Aspiring that one of these days it'll blow up and he'll be able to come help do some of the work. But right now we're kind of a really small business trying to get that. They say 3 years, right? 3
5.
years in it. Oh, is it 5 now?
Yeah. Okay, that's my understanding, right? So I do own a small radio station. I've owned it for 3 years, right? I guess I'm taking this off of Shark Tank, okay? Like Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. I think we all know who he is. He says that if you are not making money in 5 years, it's a hobby. It doesn't mean that it's a negative thing, right? He's just like, it's just not a business. It's a hobby is what he says. And he says 5 years. So generally I think the rule is 5 years on that. But man, 5 years pumping in capital into a business, that's difficult. So as a fellow small business owner, I understand where you're coming from. So it's also important that us as a community support all our local businesses, all our small businesses. There is no archery place within an 80-mile radius. Right, hour. You got to go to Roswell or Hobbs. I assume there might be something there. But this is where you should go to do that. So now I want to transition to a little bit about so as a small business, you also know it's important to support the community, to get your name out there, but also support the organizations such as DWWRC, right? So what's your inspiration behind, working with Desert Willow and other things in the community?
So we've been doing things, and whenever we first set up in the indoor range and all that good stuff, I had talked to my husband about how we needed to not just provide for the hunters and all that stuff, that we need to engage new shooters and youth and try to do stuff for the community to give them other places, because even like party venues and stuff like that, that's hard to come by. Now we have this nice sizable building. So we actually have safe archery. We take it around to like Cavern Fest and some of these different the Ren Festival. And
Yeah,
all
so
that stuff, right?
so safe archery means what? It's like the ones with little bags on the end or something?
So they're recurves, but most of them have foam tips,
Okay.
or some of them are Velcro. We just recently got some new little zombie heads that you can smack down, like you hit them and they knock down, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, that's fun.
those type things we offer for birthday parties. It gives the kids something different to do. It's indoors. It's not hot.
Right.
We also work with Bouncing Right Along. They keep a bouncer there, so we can add that on. We've added pool tables, all of a sudden, and then we have dartboards now. So we're trying to give the community and their families something to come do, economical, even if it's just on a weekend, just to play, whatever, just to give people an alternative.
So tell me a little bit about how much, like, if I was going to take two of my kids on a Saturday afternoon to hang out with you guys, we're going to shoot darts, we're going to play some pool, do a little archery. What am I looking at expense-wise? Because it's small, and you said it's an economical thing to do in the afternoon. So, yeah.
So for the safe archery, when we have the stations, outside of party times, you can rent the bow. It's $10 an hour.
Okay.
And then you can play on all the stations. If you do Genesis, which is considered, real archery, where you're actually putting an arrow into a bag.
Yeah.
That one's $16 an hour because we rent the equipment. But pool tables, we're looking $10 an hour. Dartboards, $10 an hour.
Yeah.
You just come.
All right, yeah. So go hang out for an hour for $10 and go shoot archery. And if you're not a professional archery person, an hour is probably going to be enough. Right. Especially because you'll get tired on those muscles if you don't use them very often. And then, so you were talking about recurve bows versus compound bows, right? I know that the recurve bow, I'm going to call it, is just a traditional pull bow, right?
Instinctual, yeah.
Right. And then the compound bows are just really fun.
Right.
I was like, tell me, so which one, when you hunt with the bow, which one do you use?
I use compound.
Okay. Yeah. That's just so much, it comes out so much faster, right?
Right.
Or it's like, is it more accurate too?
It
You have to have more skill for a recurve bow than you do a compound bow?
I feel like you do.
Okay. But you shot both, I assume?
I've shot both.
Okay. But the compound's where it's at for you?
Yes. And you're not holding all the weight.
Right, exactly. Now, Robert, you told me before we started recording that you were a bit of an archery guy yourself back in the day at some point, right?
Yeah, I have both recurves and compound.
Yeah, and which one do you like the best?
I actually like the traditional
Got
recurves.
a traditionalist over here.
Yeah,
so the traditional, that's going to be a lot more strength, right? It's your strength, and a compound bow then is your strength plus whatever it's able to provide, or you really don't have to use your strength very much.
So in a recurve, if it says 40 pounds at 28 inches, at that 28 inches, you're pulling 40 pounds. If you pull farther, you're pulling more. And if you pull less than 20 inches, it's less.
All right.
On a compound, if you pull 40 pounds, once it breaks over,
it's 40
you're
pounds.
holding like 15%.
Yeah, right. So it is really, I've shot both myself as well. And it's, compound bows are pretty fun.
Yes.
Actually. But the recurve bow, right, is the traditional thing, right? And I can see both. Now, you've hunted with both? I've
hunted with compound.
What's so what is I don't know how to say it. I'm not a hunter, but what is the best animal that you've gotten?
Last year I did draw out for elk, and I did not fulfill my tag. I did fulfill a javelina that was actually pretty good, but it was a lot of fun, but it was over in 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So if you knew where they were,
yeah,
it was just quick and done. Hunting, once you do hunt with bow, I can say that you kind of don't want a rifle anymore. It's a little bit more challenging, maybe a little bit more rewarding. Would
you say the same thing, Robert? Have you hunted with a gun as well?
As rifles?
Both, yeah. Yeah, okay. And so, is it just more, does it mean more to you as instinctually as like with an arrow as opposed to a gun?
Probably.
I just think about, they were using arrows long before they were ever using guns. So there's something really human about that.
Yeah, and there's some guys that are shooting 100 yards now. Like the technology is really great. A lot of people would rather keep it within 60.
Right.
But the fact that, a gun, you're good for 500,000 yards.
Yeah, something like that. So you have a obviously strong passion for archery, right, and for hunting. Desert World Wildlife Rehabilitation Center has a strong passion for hunting as well, right, I believe. And the reason I say that, you explain it to me a little bit, Robert. When we were at your guys' annual benefit dinner, hunting is a big aspect of like kind of the attendees that were there.
Yeah, we get a lot of our funding from hunting and from the Share with Wildlife program, actually, that is funded through the hunting licenses and all.
Right. So explain that a little bit to me. So like, it kind of sounds from somebody that's not a hunter, right? Or somebody that's like protect all animals type person. It's not me. I'm just speaking devil's advocate. So let me play right now, right? Okay. So somebody's like, wait a minute. Well, why would a rehabilitation center be an organization that is also like funded by hunters and supports hunters, right? I mean, I think I can just think of the answer and know what the correct answer is. But why don't you tell me a little bit about why that would be so connected?
Well, again, they do provide a lot of the funding for the center, so we want to support the industry as well. But we also want to, like with any activity, we want to make sure that the folks are responsible. So this is just before the hunting seasons. It gets people out practicing and whatnot. So if they are going to hunt, they'll be more accurate and more responsible in doing the sport.
So some of the most, Jennifer, answer this one for me, because I think that this is how I see it, and those are very good answers, of course, Robert. But my point being is like some of the people you would call environmentalists the most are hunters, right? We want the environment to stay there. You want to go hunting every year. You want the population to be healthy enough so you can go out and hunt and do those things traditionally, right? So it's like rehabilitation of wildlife is equally as important as responsible hunting.
Exactly. And just because we're a hunter doesn't mean we don't value animal life.
Right.
Or, but there is number management, whether people agree it's being done correctly or not. And, if you don't hunt, then things get out of control.
Right.
And so I'm not necessarily a trophy hunter. If they give me a unit where I could try to find one, that's great. But in the scheme of things, whatever we hunt as a family, it goes into our freezer.
Right.
So it's not like we're just going out there to kill horns and leave the rest.
Right. And it's kind of what I was trying to get at there, Robert, is the idea that there's just not out there to kill animals and be like, oh, all of it just be as it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a full circle here, right? And hunters and your rehabilitation center work hand in hand to make sure that full circle works.
Right.
Yeah,
so as Jennifer mentioned, the keeping the numbers down, the populations down is important also, because if we get overpopulations, then we see more disease and things like that as well. So
there's a balance here that we as humans totally interrupt, right? I mean, we absolutely interrupt that balance, so we have to then fix that balance and manage it, I believe, and so that's where hunting does come in. It's very important in that regards. Now, I have not hunted ever, and I will tell you why. I don't like being cold. It gets cold when you hunt, is it not? When
not
you go
a problem down here.
So I've never hunted down here, but like I have buddies that lived in northern New Mexico because I lived up north for 20 years, and they're like, "Let's go hunting," and I was like, "It is freezing, and you want me to camp overnight in the cold?" It's just it's not for everybody, and so I'm allowed to make fun of myself. I'm not a hunter, and it's okay, but. And I've never dressed an animal my entire life, right? And there's all these skills that I feel like at nearly 45 years old, I'm missing out on some life experiences, I think. So I'm going to hook up with you guys and help me out. Let's get back to the topic here. It's the 3D Archery Tournament. It's brought to you by Nock Archery and the Desert World Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. Here's some information we haven't given you. We've already been speaking for 13 minutes. It's on August 10th this year, obviously 2024. Registration starts at 7 a.m. The archery shooting starts at 8. 20 rounds per target. Open and hunter classes. We'll get into that. Male, female, and junior divisions. We have 2 extreme shot challenges. Let's see. The funds are going to go to DWWRC, of course, for operational funds, feed, and vet care, kind of what you were talking about at the beginning. Division winners will receive a trophy for this. So a nice little memorabilia piece. It does say you guys need a minimum of 4 shooters per division. Or we'll get into that as well. We've still got plenty of time. The location, though, is going to be at the Carlsbad Shooting Complex. That's at 314 North Happy Valley Road. Everybody knows what that's at, guys. It's on the Happy Valley Road. Right? I mean, you know where it's at. It's closer to the 285 intersection than it is to the Mermont intersection, right? Or whatever, Texas Street down there. So 314 North Happy Valley Road. Now, Jennifer, I wanted to ask you, do you feel, I think I'm going to give you credit for this. Don't we have a really nice, like brand new archery range or something out at the shooting?
So we did recently work with the city. It's at the city range.
Mm-hmm.
They did cut 30 lanes because we've thrown 2 ASA. Those are 3D tournaments. They're statewide. We did qualifiers. The second one was a qualifier for New Mexico and Texas.
Nice.
And you just had to shoot that to be able to go shoot state.
Okay.
But we did work with the city. They've cut 30 lanes. They're looking to add a little bit more to the parking area, that
Sure,
kind
yeah.
of stuff. But it's great. I mean, it gives us the opportunity to go out. When it says 20 targets per round, it's actually a 20 target round.
Okay.
So more like 2 rounds, whatever.
Okay. Right. So real quick, that's $40, right? So for $40, you get 20 targets per round. So you get 2 10 rounds, is what you were saying, right? And remember, this is a donation to then have a good time. You know what I mean? Right. This is $40 donation to the Desert World Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, right, for you to shoot archery and have a good time, and then learn how to shoot archery even if you don't, right? And so what I'm giving you credit and your business credit for motivating the city of Carlsbad to kind of put together a better archery setup out there. You've created the demand, you've created this business, and you've shown that, so the city stepped up to also help encourage what you guys are doing as well. So I think that's great.
They used to have a 3D setup, and it required a few more lanes than for the ASA. They need 30.
What is a 3D? Tell me, I guess I don't know. What is 3D archery setup? I mean, I assume that you're shooting in archery in 3D every time you shoot an arrow. So, help me understand 3D archery.
So, as far as ASA goes, it goes up to 50 yards, different divisions.
Okay.
The youth clearly shoot from 20, 25, the littles even 15. But if you're shooting a 40-yard division, that means you'll probably be shooting distances anywhere from, 18 yards to 40 yards. And you're shooting at foam 3D versions of animals.
Oh, okay. So I'm just thinking you buy the target. It's a square target with, that you shoot archers into. So that's what makes it more, okay.
Deer, skunk, turkey,
Do you give extra points for the location in which
so
the mannequin shot?
There's a point system. 12 ring is the high. Then there's a 10, 8, and 5. And basically you shoot in a group and you go down, everybody shoots an arrow, and then you go down and you score your card and you go to the next animal. And so it's kind of a rotation.
Okay. So the shoot starts at 8 a.m. How long do you expect to be out there during the day on August 10th?
The last shoot we did, we had approximately almost 50 people on one day. We started at 8:30. They were all done by 11:30.
Sure. Well, you're moving pretty quickly too.
So if you keep the numbers relatively small, maybe 4 to a group, it doesn't take that long.
Okay.
But
so
that also depends on how many people show
well,
up.
how many people are you all hoping for? What are you preparing for?
I don't know that I've got a number really in mind.
I'm not sure. In March, we actually did an ASA shoot, and on the first day, it was 77.
Wow. Okay, but that's also a qualifying shoot with people who are serious and have to come here to do that. So if they got 77 on that region, if you ended up with 50 people, you'd have a really great morning, I think.
Yeah.
Is what I'm guessing. So go to the Facebook page, go to DWWRC, Desert World Wildlife Rehabilitation Center on Facebook. You can also go to dwwrc.org online. And then all the information is going to be there. You can sign up, you can register. When's payment due? You can do it online, or you want to do it the morning of, just to let people know?
We'd love for folks to sign up ahead of time. That way we've got a good idea of how many folks we're having.
So
we've got coming in.
Sign up online and pay online? Or
pay online.
Okay, yeah,
It's
sign
all
up.
there on that link.
Got it. Now let's talk about, so let's say that, so $40 per round, great time, 3 different divisions, male, female, junior divisions. Now, Robert, you were mentioning open and hunter classes. And Jennifer, I don't know what those mean. I don't know what that means.
So open's going to be more of your competition style shooting. Those guys are going to shoot really long stabilizers past 12 inches, probably going to have magnifiers, that type of stuff. The hunter division we're going to keep to where it'll be more of your setup for going out and hunting. So you're just no lenses, pins. I mean, we're not going to distinguish between whether it's rolling or not, but as long as you don't have a lens, you're not shooting anything outside 12 inches. And that's kind of an ASA standard as well.
Okay. So are you pitting recurve bows and compound bows against each other, or are we splitting those up too?
So we didn't really account for a traditional, but we could.
Yeah, we haven't. We'd have to see how
I
many.
would
I mean, the
say-
compound is really popular,
What
I
I
guess,
would
right?
say is if you are traditional and you want to shoot this and we can get the numbers, we'll create the division.
Right, so you need to have at least 4 per division to make it even a competition to win a trophy, right? So if you show up and there's 3 other recurve members, then let's do it, right? And you can create a division real quick, and that'd be awesome. If not, then hey, give us $40 and go shoot your recurve bow and have a good time, right? It's not like a big deal. There's going to be some food options out there. I think you guys are going to have a food truck.
Yeah, Tex-Mex Burgers said they'll be out that way. So,
Great, yeah. So you get yourself a little snacks, some bottled waters, and you can bring all that stuff to the range. Can you?
Sure.
You can bring some waters. Make sure it's going to be hot. Make sure you stay hydrated. Of course, that's not a problem at all. Now I want to transition into the extreme shot challenges, right? The two
Okay.
the two extreme shot challenges, because they're $5 per round per shot, right?
Right.
And so I don't know what they're going to be. Robert kind of gave me a tip, but I mean, as the archery expert, he said something about a 100-yard shot.
So the last one we did was 120 yards.
120-yard shot. Okay. Is that how difficult is that? Like from 120 yards, is that hunting distance, or is that too far?
That might not be ethical hunting distance, depending on how good your bow is.
Oh, okay. All right.
But there's some guys that can touch 120.
Okay.
I've seen them hit the targets and hit really close in that X area.
Right. So let's say that you're really great at archery. You're like, I last year I won the 100-yard shot challenge. Of course I'm going to win it again. You do your first arrow for $5 and you're like, wow, I made a mistake. It was an erred one. Just another 5, right?
Right.
And keep practicing over and over and over and over again.
So at the ASA, we did a approximate 3-inch circle, and then we centered a dot in there to give us a measuring point.
Yeah.
And basically, it was going to be closest to the center.
Okay. Yeah. And how close to the center was the winner?
Out of, I think we had close to 10 guys that tried. Our closest was like 1 inch, 1 and like 5/16 or something like that.
These trick shots, extreme shot challenges, those to me, that's like the most fun stuff when you do these type of things, especially. So Robert was mentioning something about a steel target shot challenge. So this is a new challenge from March. You guys are bringing this one new this year?
Well, we did have it at the last one
Okay.
in June. It's a target. It's got approximately a 3-inch circle. It's a metal target. Looks like a bullseye.
Right.
And so the 3-inch, we start that. Everybody starts, and that's probably going to be more of a one-time pay. Everybody puts it in a pot kind of thing.
Okay.
Or there's other ways to give you second shots. It just increases your amount. So maybe the second shot you get for $10.
Sure. So, like, if you make it, the still shot, let's say you start at like 50 yards.
So we start at
hypothetically.
20.
It's 20 yards. Oh, well, I mean, I probably still wouldn't make it, Robert, but some might. Yeah, that's likely.
So if you make it,
a lot of them will keep going and you step
then
back.
everybody goes to 30 yards.
All right, yeah. So you got to figure out a way to raise a little bit more money out of that than just $5, right?
Right.
That's what you were brainstorming right now.
Right. So
I noticed.
the last one we did, it was a straight up 1 fee to get in.
Yeah.
Everybody lined up at the 20. Anybody that made the 20 was going to go to 30. If they kept going from 30, we'd go to 40 yards.
Do you remember how far out?
They just made 20. One guy made 20.
Whoa. I mean, that's interesting because you're like, we just had like somebody shoot a 100-yard shot and they were an inch away from the target, right? But only one person made it from 20 yards, and it's a 3-inch hole. The arrow's not 3 inches. That's like, I mean,
Oh, no, it's a good size hole.
that's difficult. But did you participate in it?
I didn't get to that time. I wasn't sighted in for that actual day. So, but I would have tried.
Who is is this how you say it? Do you call archeries? Do you call them archers?
Archers. Yeah.
Okay, archers, right? So, who's a better archer, you or your husband?
Oh, definitely me.
All right, yeah, I love that confidence. I'm going to get you in trouble.
No, probably not.
But he got you into hunting.
True. And he does tell the guys all the time that their wives are going to outshoot them. So,
Oh, so-
there's got to be some truth to that,
There's
right?
absolutely right. Other guy, my wife will make fun of me when it comes to shooting, but she can hit anything. Like,
Well, we have a lot more patience.
wow, is that true?
I feel like it.
I don't, Robert. I feel like we're getting teamed up on over here.
I don't know. I sort of think that's true.
No, definitely, no patience. Just ask my wife; she'll tell you that for sure. Yeah, she's a better shot than I am. There's no question about it. And so are you. That makes a lot of sense. We're getting pretty close to time. Remember to please go to Facebook, search Desert World Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. You'll get to their website. Go to dwwrc.org. This is August 10th. Registration's at 7 a.m., but you could register right now if you wanted. The shoot starts at 8, so show up at 7. There'll be food trucks out there, $40 per round. I would bring, personally, if I was going to do the extreme shot challenges, I'd probably bring $40 for each one, right? So I would try to do 4 shots on the 100 yards. Probably won't hit a target, but would try, right? And then I would try to see how many times I could do. Because if I couldn't make it from 20 yards, I would want to try at least 3 other times to try to make it from 20 yards to then challenge myself to go to 30.
I highly recommend you bring your cheap arrows.
Oh, yeah. Why is that? Oh, for the steel?
Yeah.
Okay, just for that one.
They're probably not walking away if you miss.
Oh, okay. Right. Or unless you miss the steel thing completely,
Right.
and then it'll be in the dirt and you'll be all right.
And fortunately, I have plenty of cheap arrows right now.
Okay, yeah. So you can, I mean, how many arrows do you have at Top Nock? You must have just stacked all sizes, all ages.
We're still 2 years, so we're trying to grow those
Yeah.
inventory levels. try to be a little bit more prepared before the hunting season comes up, which is coming up quick.
Yeah. So I can get a full setup at Top Nock, right? I can get a compound bow. I can get all the accessories that I need. I can get the arrows.
Yes.
And I can get it for as affordable as I can anywhere else.
Right.
Right.
We're carrying Matthews, Bowtech, PSE. We can get Elite. I believe I've signed up for Prime. We haven't had a lot of requests, but those are the big ones for sure. Bear.
Archery is just going to be just like any other sport, just like golf or snowboarding or other things that I've done. You can spend as much money as you want, like on anything. Like you can spend as much money as you want on a bow. You can spend as much money as you want on a snowboard, as much money as you want on golf clubs, right? But that doesn't mean, but you will help them get started reasonably, right?
Absolutely.
Responsibly, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. So I was like, you can spend as much money as you want, but to get started, it's not going to cost you that much money at all.
Right, and you don't have to get into the bigs. There's
The best thing would be to come by your place and then rent a bow and test out some of those bows.
So we can set people up to shoot bows. We don't rent the full setup compounds. What we rent are the little Genesis bows that max out at 20 pounds. So it gives people a little, their finger pull, they're kind of, they're kind of a combination of like a recurve and a compound together.
A little bit, okay. But if you've never shot an arrow before, then you definitely want to just
That's
start
where we
there.
get people started.
Yeah.
And then they have fun doing that. And then they realize that, I could be more accurate if I had sights and pins. But we do have good budget, beginner, introductory packages. That way you're not spending the $2,000 Matthews setup, whatever.
Until you're ready for it.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Or you determine if you like it or not. We do consignment, so if something happened and you wanted to upgrade, you could put that bow on the shelf. We help you sell it. We make 10%, but we'll get you majority of what it's worth, and then you can put that money towards growing.
Right, sure. And it's the best place for you to have your bow sold. I'd say better than Facebook Marketplace or any place like that, because you are getting archers into that store, right? You're getting people that are interested in this and really kind of good place to start. So I agree completely. Let's go over 314 North Happy Valley Road. This is going to be August 10th. Registration at 7 a.m. 20 targets per round, $40 per round. So I could do the open, I could do the male, and I could do the hunter if I wanted, probably, right? Or are those going to be simultaneously?
You're going to shoot one.
Okay, one of them would be perfect. So I wouldn't do the open or the hunter. I'd probably
And
just
it's
do
the Carlsbad shooting range. Be careful with that address, because I think sometimes Google likes to take you to a house.
House, New Mexico?
A house.
Oh, a house out there. Okay, I was like, wow, House, New Mexico, that's not close. There is a House, New Mexico. All right, so maybe look up, everybody knows where the Carlsbad Shooting Complex is, I think, right?
I think so.
If you're hearing this, so let's real quick, you're driving south on 285, you're going to take the bypass, right? You're going to take that, I don't know what the road is. You take that, once you go over the little hill, it's on the left. It's like the first thing on the left.
Yeah, it's well marked.
Yeah, it's well marked. You're not going to miss it. And it's a very large shooting range. It's not a little house.
No.
Right? It should stand out quite a bit differently.
There's a big gate that says Carlsbad Shooting Range.
It's a nice facility. Most people know where it's at, but Google does that to you all the time anyways. You know what I mean? All right, what am I missing? What am I missing?
We've got one other thing going on with this. We are looking for folks to sponsor targets.
Okay.
So good for small businesses or something. A little bit of advertising. It's $100 to sponsor a target, and we just need a digital copy of your logo so we can get a sign made. Then we'll put up a sign for you for the day as a sponsor for the particular target.
Could I sponsor a competing business and have that be the target? Just joking, but maybe. I was like, maybe.
Why not?
I was like, maybe I have a business that's a real rivalry with another business. I'm thinking like those two businesses across the street on Canal that sell the same stuff, right? Like they got all the statues and all this stuff. Like they look like they sell the same thing. That's a real rivalry there, right? It's like you can have their logo and shoot arrows at it or something. All right, so you are looking for sponsorships. $100 for the sponsor. You get your logo all over the target. And people will be able to see that, not the target, but floating around. People will be able to see that.
And we're going to work with, I believe it's Carlsbad Engraving, to develop the trophies.
Okay.
So if there is a company out there that is interested in maybe even sponsoring the trophies, I mean, they're not going to be crazy amount, but that would be great too.
Are you a nonprofit, Robert?
We are. We're a 501c3.
So that donation would be a tax write-off, correct?
Tax
write-off. Important to know. Right, not all of them are.
Allows more money to go to them. So
right, exactly. Right, because those things are expenses anyways. And the whole thing, remember, it's a fundraiser to raise money for this great rehabilitation center who I've gotten to know very well over the past few years, who does really amazing things. Nobody else is doing anything like that down here, in my opinion. So this is really great. So I just want to thank everybody again for coming on. I'm going to recap this real quick. August 10th, Registration at 7 a.m. Shooting starts at 8. Lots of great stuff for you to do. It's only going to cost you $40, maybe a couple $5 for the extreme shot arrow. So I'm looking at $50 total. Maybe I'm visiting a food truck too. DWWRC.org, Desert Willow Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. Go to Top Nock's website. Right?
We have a Facebook page right now.
Facebook page, perfect. Go to their Facebook page. There'll be stuff about that, but you can also learn about their business. And I want to thank you all for coming on. So Robert Kazabowski.
Just real quick before we get off there, though, I just wanted to remind you that we've opened up the snack shack again.
All right,
With the elote, they do the watermelon, the mango. It's just all the nice Mexican treats that we all crave. The corn in the cup versus they do have the on the cob. But a lot of fun stuff down there. I know that they open up on Tuesday nights when we do league.
Yeah.
So you can kind of stop in at that time because we are closed on Monday and Tuesdays. But then they do Thursday through Sunday afternoons.
Okay.
Usually starting about 2.
All right.
And
well, I hope they do well as also. I mean, you're a small business. You're helping an even smaller business, right? Get started by renting out a little bit of space for you and whatever you're doing. I think this is all great. We are all about everything local here on the radio station. We're all about Carlsbad, Eddy County, New Mexico. And Top Nock Archery and Supply is definitely doing that. Desert Willow Wildlife Rehabilitation Center has been doing it for a long time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So Jennifer Cottingham, thank you very much for coming on. It's really nice to meet you.
Thank you for having us.
Right. Robert, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.